In the 13 years of my life, I have created around 70 tons of carbon in air travel alone. I've traveled around all my life. I went on a plane for the first time when I was just 6 weeks old. I was born in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, and for the first 4 years of my life, I lived in between Saudi, Australia, and England. When I turned 4, I moved to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, where I lived until I was 9. I then moved to Jakarta, where I lived another 4 years. At the start of this year, my sister, my mom, and I moved here to Bali. I've lived in 5 different countries overall and never stayed in one for more than 5 years. Because of the constant travel I've done over my life, I have a significantly higher carbon footprint to most other people my age. My carbon footprint is mostly made up of transportation and travel. All the airplanes, cars, buses, trains, and boats I've been on in my life all add into my carbon footprint. Carbon footprint calculators helped me determine my own carbon footprint. Carbon is usually measured in tons. What does a ton look like? Well, in Copenhagen in 2009, Millennium Art, in collaboration with the United Nations, created a visual monument to show the public what 1 ton of CO2 would look like. The CO2 cube was created to bring awareness of the invisible damage we are creating every day. My carbon footprint for air travel is equal to 70 of these cubes. As I was looking into my carbon footprint, I came across sustainable tourism and the concept of traveling with as low as possible effect on the environment. I recently traveled to Singapore with a plan to travel more eco-friendly. It was definitely more difficult than I expected because eco-hotels are a lot more expensive than normal hotels, and cutting down on transportation in general is hard in a big city. We did visit many eco-friendly places though, and that really changed my perspective on sustainable travel. It isn't as bland as it is said to be. In the past, travel was a slow and dangerous process. Travel was unpredictable and full of risks. Over time, roads, waterways, rails, and air travel have all been improved, as well as the development of the idea of sustainable travel. The whole idea of sustainable travel wasn't created until the 1990s, after the concept of sustainable development was introduced in the 1960s and 70s. Tourism wasn't hugely a part of sustainable development debate, as it wasn't so popular on a global scale, meaning it didn't have a huge environmental impact. Sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. People were starting to make a stand against having people build big hotels and theme parks in their own hometowns. In the 1960s and 70s, tourism was even considered a green industry as people were so unaware of the damage it was starting to cause on the planet. Sustainable or environmental travel is the idea of traveling without a negative impact on the environment, and it is becoming more and more popular. Traveling is great, but it does have its negative impacts. Traveling in a plane, in a boat, or in a car have serious damaging environmental impacts. The carbon emission from these popular transportation methods are very big over the course of the average holiday. They also increase your own personal carbon footprint. Not everyone is aware of the idea of traveling consciously, and that needs to be changed for the future generations of the world. There are 3 main aspects of responsible travel: sociocultural sustainability, economic sustainability, and environmental sustainability. Sociocultural sustainability is about keeping it local when you travel. Tourism can be good for the sociocultural aspects of a place because it introduces new languages, values, and jobs for the locals in the tourism industry. But you should try and stay local, so partake in activities that you know will benefit the local people of each place that you go to. Economic sustainability is about making sure the money also stays local. If you stay in a big chain of hotels from a different country, the money you pay likely won't benefit the local population at all. But in Bali, there are both good and bad economic effects of tourism. Bali's tourism has been planned with hardly any say from the Balinese people. The Balinese people do not profit from the hotel chains unless they are the owners of the hotels themselves. Environmental sustainability is also about keeping the environment in the best condition that you can when you travel. So simple things like not using plastic or not littering could really help. We have to be really careful about the way that we travel here in Bali because islands are extra vulnerable. Islands have limited land, which leads to limited water, as well as problems with waste disposal. Also, the demand for huge beachside villas with swimming pools and golf courses is going up, and for them to be built, rice paddies have to be destroyed. Did you know that the average 500-room hotel uses as much water as it would to supply water to a 33-hectare rice paddy? What steps do we need to take? We need to try and spread the idea of traveling consciously. Hopefully, the next generation can be a generation of so-called green travelers. When you plan your next vacation, try and see if there are any sustainable or eco-hotels in your area. Try and take taxis less. Instead, do some walking or cycling, or even try public transit. Also, when you go on holiday, bring your own reusable water bottles. And take all of your rubbish back with you, or recycle it. Little things like this make all the difference if we all do them. The more people we can get on board, the better the future of the world looks. Here in Bali, the word eco is very misunderstood. If you're walking down the street in Ubud, you're probably going to see someone asking whether you need a taxi holding a sign that says Eco Tours. Chances are, his or her tour isn't going to be any more eco-friendly than anybody else's. The word is used to make you want to buy their tour as opposed to anybody else's, even if they are the exact same. This is known as greenwashing. Greenwashing is what many organizations and brands do to market their products. Greenwashing is when a brand or organization uses the words eco or environmentally friendly to make you think that what you're buying isn't harmful to the environment, but it is often not true and the product is still harmful and damaging. I've created a website directed towards the younger generation to introduce and enforce the idea of responsible or sustainable travel. It is important for people to know about responsible travel because of all the places that we travel to are slowly going downhill. Once kids know about it, they will helpfully tell their parents, their friends, and their other family members about it. I would like to spread the idea. My idea is not about stopping all airplanes from flying and shutting down all big hotel chains, but it's about spreading the idea and the knowledge about traveling in the best way that we can. Sustainability is a huge part of conscious travel. It is what we can do to preserve the environment for the generations to come. I've learned loads about the way that I travel and the way that I should travel. I think sustainable travel is starting to develop and it will be the future of tourism. I think it will soon be the most popular form of travel. I expect to see more eco-hotels, tours, and environmentally friendly places to show up around the world. Knowing my future and the future of many generations to come depend on change for a healthier world is enough to motivate me towards changing my travel habits, my family's, and hopefully yours too. Thank you.